In the previous video, Salman al-Farsi's life, his importance and influence upon Islam was discussed. This video will cover his most important contribution to Islam, an action without which perhaps Islam would not have survived. That is, his suggesting to Muhammad to build a trench, thereby saving the Muslims from total destruction. In the Britannica it says that this is the most important connection to Salman and Islam, going on to say that this was an innovation in Arabian warfare and was instrumental in Muhammad's successful defense. In a book called A Restatement of the History of Islam and Muslims, citing from numerous references on page 168, it says the Muslims were so few in number and poorly equipped that there was no other way a tiny Muslim garrison could prevent the Meccan army from overrunning and overwhelming them by sheer numbers. That is until Salman told Muhammad that if a trench was dug, the city could perhaps be defended successfully. This incident is also found in other books written by Muslims. As it was the trench that ultimately saved the Muslims, the battle came to be known as the Battle of the Trench or Ditch. Here in this popular Islamic website called Islam Web, it says Islamic biography books say when the Prophet heard that the combined forces wanted to attack Medina, he, meaning Muhammad, consulted with his companions. So Salman advised him, saying, quote, "In Persia, when we were surrounded by the enemy, we used to surround ourselves with a trench." End quote. Thereupon Muhammad ordered the digging of the trench around Medina. Prominent Muslim scholar Ibn Hajar cites this incident in his Fath al-Bari, which is a commentary of Sahih Bukhari, one of the most important books within Sunni Islam. The story of Salman advising about the ditch is also found in other notable Islamic sources, such as Tabaqat al-Kabir and other classical books. The word for trench in Arabic is khandaq. Interestingly, it is an Arabized loanword derived from the Persian. Islamic sources have created all sorts of legends around the building of the trench, including how it supposedly prophesied Muhammad / Muslims conquering other lands. As with many aspects of Islam, from a historical point of view, there are discrepancies in the Islamic narrative, in that although Islamic sources suggest building a trench was a Persian military tactic, however, at times in history, it has been used by the Romans against the Persians. For example, at the Battle of Dara in 530 AD, the Roman Byzantines used it to defeat the Persians approximately 40 years before Salman was born. This government military source shows the battle plan, which includes the trench the Romans built. The defeat of the Persians using this method would have still been talked about during Salman's lifetime. This battle is mentioned in more detail in this master's thesis. The purpose of highlighting this is, and not for the first time, these accounts seem to contradict Islamic sources that suggest that it was perhaps a uniquely Persian innovation. Further, according to the Bishop of Mytilene in his Syriac chronicle, trench warfare was used by the Persians 2 years earlier at the Battle of Thunuris in 528 against the Romans. The method was a successful tactic in beating them. More pertinently, it was also done to protect their Arab allies against other Arab marauders. The point is, at times, both the Persians and Romans used trench warfare to achieve various victories. Also, the Arabs would have known about it as it was used by their neighbouring superpowers, the Romans and the Persians, and with various Arabs allied with one side over another, at times it was used to protect them or used against them. So Salman's suggestion to Muhammad would not have been the first time a Persian had informed an Arab about trench warfare. And in the case of Muhammad, who is said to have been well travelled, so were his enemies, the Quraysh, being seasoned merchants. It is incredulous to believe that Salman's suggestion of the trench was the first time a Persian had informed an Arab, or it was encountered by an Arab in some form as a battle strategy, as the Islamic sources make out. A subsidiary point from the previous slide is that the pre-Islamic Syriac Chronicle document also shows is that there seems to be a distinction made between the terms Arabs and Saracens, suggesting that the term had evolved over the centuries, in that the term Saracen was not always equated to all Muslim Arabs as it came to be during the Middle Ages, meaning as time went on, a distinction was made in geographical and religious terms. This is explained more in this literature called Byzantium and Islam, chapter 12. In the Pseudo-Nilus on barbarian bandits and Saracens in the Sinai Desert, it says during pre-Islamic times, Saraceni was a term used by the ancient Greeks and Romans to describe Arab tribes in the Sinai Peninsula and desert regions. So in conclusion, Islamic sources mention Salman al-Farsi's advice to Muhammad about digging a trench, an action which ultimately saved Muhammad and Islam. Its sources also suggest it was a Persian innovation and the first time an Arab, i.e. Muhammad, had ever heard about this or encountered it in the case of the Quraysh. Historical sources show that the Romans used it successfully against the Persians a few decades before Muhammad and Salman's birth. Historical sources also show that it was used for and against various Arabs. Hence, and not for the first time, this information shows a discrepancy with what the Islamic sources show and what the historical accounts of events show.